Boys and girls, this is SOL 4.1C, rounding numbers, which reads the student will round whole numbers expressed through millions to the nearest 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. So the number can go up to the millions place, but you only have to round to the 100,000s place. But we do some practicing of rounding up to the millions place. Your learning intention, you'll be able to round whole numbers to the nearest 1,000, 10,000, and even 100,000. And of course, we just said that as a challenge, we also do the millions, because if you can round to one place, you'll be able to round to all of them. Your success criteria, usually I don't require that you stick to the strategy that I teach you, but this time I do want you to, because if you can round this way, you can round any number that they give you, and typically students have a difficult time with rounding. So if you can round this way, you'll be able to round any number they give you. So I want you to be able to apply the strategy of focusing on two digits in a number to determine what number it is closest to, and to use those digits to round numbers up to the 100,000s place. So today in class we did a little experiment or practice on using the hundreds chart to help us round, and we'll continue it again tomorrow. So if you had difficulty today, don't worry about that, but we're using the hundreds chart to round. And these are the steps in that strategy. Step 1, you need to carefully read and annotate the directions so that you know what place you are rounding to. So our example is round 1,487 to the nearest 100. So I had to annotate it, know what number I'm rounding and what place value I am rounding it to. That's why we spent so much time studying that place value chart, because you have to know where you're rounding to in order to successfully round the number. Put your number into a place value chart so that you will know that you've chosen the correct digit to round. So I put 1,487 into a simple place value chart, marking each of the place value places. Next, underline the place value that you're rounding to. The directions told us that we're rounding to the nearest 100, so I underline the hundreds place, and then circle the digit to the right of it. Remember in class we talked about how it's important to say to the right of it, because there's also a digit to the left, and we can also remember that if we took our fingers and circled our right eye, put a circle around our right eye as if it was a monocle, the one little eyeglass that you use. And we said that would remind us of the number 0, because that number is going to turn into a 0 after we finish rounding the number to the place that we're rounding to, and then everything to the right will also become a 0. So underline the place value you're rounding to and circle the digit to the right of it. Next, you look to see what two-digit number is there now. So we underlined the 4, we circled the 8. That two-digit number is 48. We can now use the hundreds chart in order to round that number. If we look back on that hundreds chart from the beginning, we can find the number 48 to see which two tens it's between. 48 is here, it would be between 40, and if we mark the 10 over here, and 50. So now we're going to take that, high 10 and put it on our paper. So 48 is between 50 and the low 10. Sorry, went in the wrong direction. 40. So it's between 40 and 50, and then write all of the numbers in between those two tens. So we're actually just using the tens to help us round that two-digit number. So there we are again. 48 is our original number. The high 10 is 50. The low 10 is 40. We write all the numbers in between. That's step 5. Step 6 is to draw a line between the 4 and the 5. Remember we said when we counted, there are 9 numbers in between here. So how do we decide which ones go to the low 10, which ones go to the high 10? There needed to be some type of rule. And just as a little funny aside, we said there was this team of math nerds who liked math so much that they came up with a rule, and they decided to put the line between the 4 and the 5 since there's not an even number of numbers between there. We think of that wall as a place that you cannot cross over. So circle your 2-digit number. I apologize for the spelling error, which is 48 again. And then you just round it. You can only go in the direction that you don't have the wall. I cannot go over the wall here, so I would have to go to 50. And you can actually physically see how 48 is closer to 50 if we're looking at it on the number line between the two tenths. 48 is closer to 50. And then what I'm going to do is put that 50 underneath my numbers right in the place value chart, right under the 2-digit number. That will help me to build my new number more easily. Anything that's to the left, which would be the 1 in the thousands place, I leave it alone. So that means I just bring it down. I leave it alone. I don't change it. I don't do anything to it. But I must put it in my answer. I can't leave it out because it's there. I leave it alone. I just bring it down into the answer. Anything that's to the right turns into a 0. Remember how when we circled this number who was right next door, we said it looks like a 0, reminding us that these digits to the right of the place we're rounding to will all become a 0. So 1,487 rounded to the nearest hundred is 1,500.